All right, this is Dr. Carroll, and welcome to class. Hopefully the audio is way better. Okay, so this is where we left off last time. We were going through the file exercises, and so what will be displayed after executing the code? Well, let's look at this. Import sys, and the comment here is to illustrate that that's for exit. So yep, sure enough, sys.exit, you can see that here. Okay, our file name is completely, and then in that directory bogus, and in that directory path, and in that directory data.txt. That looks very suspicious to me. I'm just gonna go out on a limb here and guess that that file actually doesn't work. Okay, and let's write to that file. Okay, so we're gonna try to open this file. Let's see, we're going to call open and then mode, and then after that works, we're going to print, I just won the lottery! Except if something goes wrong in here, then we're going to come down here and say unable to open the file, and then we're out of there. And so, yay, the file opens successfully. So here's what's going to happen. When we interpret this, it's going to import sys. It's actually going to go to sys.py, read everything in there, see all the methods and things. So it's going to say, okay, I know about exit. I can call exit and other things. Come back. It's going to set file name. It's going to set mode. It says, okay, let me go into try mode. I picture like the code tiptoeing, like this may or may not work. And so what happens here is it calls open, the built-in function open, passes file name, and then in there it stops. And so while it is executing open, it raises an exception. That means it stops. It does not assign to data file object. It does not display I just won the lottery. I don't play the lottery anyway, so it's really hard to win if you don't play. And so it stops right here. It doesn't even complete that line. It jumps down to the accept and prints out, hey, I'm not able to open completely bogus path data.txt, and then it's out of there. So it does not display this. And so that's what this exercise is illustrating, is that it goes here and then it stops. It does not display, I just won the lottery. So what would it display? It's going to display answer here. It's going to display unable to open completely. Let me just get this so I don't have to type it. Unable to open completely bogus path data. And that's it. That's all it's going to display. Okay? Any questions? So, okay, if we have an open statement like this, and hopefully it's in a try block, then to write the close, and this tripped me up just a little bit when I was learning Python, is that the open is a built-in function, but we need to know which file to close. And so we need to call it as a method. And so methods have dots and then the name. So this is a function that is attached to an object. And so we're saying, hey, for this file object, not just any file object, for this file object, we're going to close it. And it's because it's a method. And so that's all we do. We don't pass it anything. And that's how we close it. This is really detailed well in one of my videos. So I'm going to say see video here to get the differences between print and file object. .write, including only one argument, new lines, things like that. Okay, write a Python script that writes hello world to a file named Python output. If an exception is thrown, display an error message to the user. Okay, so if we need to write hello world to a file named Python output text and display, so we need to, let's see, we need to open the file, verify that it opened correctly. We're going to write to the file here, and then we're going to close the file. Okay, so there's our structure. Open the file. We can say, why don't we just say out file object equals open. And what's our file name? It's right here. And we do need to specify the mode because this is, we're writing to it, and so we're not doing it for reading. Oh, hold on. We need to verify that it opened correctly. So then we need this in a try block. And when we have try, we have accept. And I'm just going to go pull. We haven't set file name here, so we can't use file name. So we'll just be quick and put it in there. And then, okay, so we open the file, and now we need to write to it. Now write can actually throw an exception, so why don't we just do write right here in our block. Now write is a method of a file object, so we're writing here, so it knows where to write it, and we just said hello world. Okay, now if we want a new line in there, we're going to have to put it ourselves. And so I guess it really didn't say to do a new line, so we won't do a new line. Write to the file. Oops, that actually is right here, but that's easy fix. And then let's see, did we get well, we need to close the file, and then let's reread it to make sure that we got everything. Okay, write a Python script that writes hello world to a file named python output.txt. If an exception is thrown, display an error message to the user. Unable to open or write to the file. There we go. Nailed that one. Okay, and so, and write is a file object method, so we do dot write here. Okay, number 8. Write a Python script that writes each letter of the alphabet on its own line to a file named alphabet.txt. If an exception is thrown, display an error message to the user. Okay. Let's see. Let's do this in files alphabet.py. Exercise 8. Now let me make it so it's a little easier to read. Okay, so with other ones we've done import sys, and we've said that's for exit, so because we're probably going to want to exit. Open the file, verify that it opened correctly. Hopefully this is reinforcing it. And then write. Now for each letter in the alphabet, write it on its own line to the file. And then close the file. Okay, so we've got a general structure here. And so alpha file object is what we'll call this one, equals open. And let's be more formal here. File name is alphabet.txt. And while we're here, let's just do mode as well. And so we need file name and mode. Okay, we're opening it, and open, as you'll remember, takes either, we at least have to give it file name, and we can give it mode. And there's other things we can do too. To verify this opened correctly, we need to put this in a try block. And when we have try, we have accept. Don't forget the colons. And gonna reuse this. Error unable to. Great. Okay. Let's see. Let's reread it. That's a good practice. Write a Python script that writes each letter of the alphabet on its own line to a file named alphabet.txt. If an exception is thrown, display an error message. Okay. Great. Okay. Now, writing to a file can cause an exception. So let's see. How do we want to do this? How do we could specify each of the letters in the alphabet, or we could, let's do it a little fancier. Let's import string here. Okay, and then by doing that, then we can say for each letter in string.ascii lowercase, so that's going to iterate through, let me just remove it a little, reduce the resolution a little bit. For letter in string.ascii, so that's going to go through each one of these, which is A, B, C, up to Z. And so for each one, we're going to loop through, and we need to do we need to do write here, and we just do letter, but all on their own line. We need to concatenate. We cannot do comma. It's going to freak out at us if we do that. Oh, let me get it back before I forget. Let's write there, okay? And that'll do all the letters, and then we're good. We just need to close the file. If you open it, you should probably close it. All right, let's execute this. Python alpha. Did it work? Alphabet.txt. Oh, it says. Okay, great. There we go. A through Z. So what do? We had to open the file for writing, and then on that file object we called .write, and don't forget to put in the new line there. And this was just to do something interesting, to write 26 times to the file, and don't forget to close it. Great, let's put that in our notes. Where are we? We are at 8. Okay. 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 Reads in the whole file. Reads the whole file as a string. Okay. Readline reads a single line, including the new line, if it's there, or it returns an empty string. Empty string, which is just that, if we were at the end of the file. So if we're already at the end of the file, it says, hey, I got nothing more to do. Now, read lines says, hey, give me everything, but as a list of strings. So each line is put into the list, and this is also including the new lines for each one. Okay, and so usually, so these others, this one, read will also return an empty string if we're at the end of the line, but usually if we did read, we don't do it again. But maybe the file was empty to begin with, or maybe somebody else called it and we didn't know. Okay. Let's look at these. All right, let's see here. Files exercise 10. Let's reorder this one. Okay, reorder and indent as necessary the following lines to make a Python script that displays the sum of all of the lines in values.txt. Okay, so we need to go through values.txt and to add them all up. And so what do we got here to work with? What do we got here? Well, imports almost always go first, so that's a good one. Well, we have try and except, so we already know that except needs to go after try. This is an error statement. In fact, it just looks just like what we usually put in an except statement, and then we are done there. File name needs to go above any usage of it. File name. And usually when we're specifying the file name, we specify the mode. Total should probably go at the end of the file. Oh, look, right here, total. Should probably get to initialize it probably goes at the beginning of the file. Close can go near the end of the file. Open goes in the try. Need to indent it. And this one is using input file object, so we need to move it down past it. This is setting line here, and this is using line. So because this is using it, we need to place that after it set it. Oh, and then here is line as well. Okay, so let's see. Line either needs to go here, this one, okay, this needs to be after setting it. But we have this if statement here. Something needs to go in it. We probably want to put that line in there to say, okay, go through each one. If it is a number, then cast it and pull it out. Okay. So then this, we're going to protect against this one throwing an exception. So we could pull this out. We should close the file after, as soon as possible. Just close it as soon as we're done with it. We're not done with it yet. Sorry. We need to read from it first. That would have thrown an exception here. It would have said, hey, you're trying to read from this file, but it's done. So we're not done with it. Now close it and then display the values. Ooh, I like it. Let's see if it works. Python exercise, this was 10. Something didn't work right. Something didn't work right here. Values.txt, read total. Open up the file. It didn't tell us it didn't open. Add to it. And then total. So let's do some debugging here. Let's say processing, and then let's give the line here to say, and it's going to include the new lines, so let's just jump over that. So it's processing all of those. And so then let's say adding in line, and because it didn't think it was a digit. Oh. I see the problem here. We need to do an R strip here. Remove the new line is what that needs to do. That didn't do it either. So it is failing is digit. Oh, silly me. We need to reassign it, and see then it says adding it in, and there's no new line because we took that out. So let's turn that one off. Now that we have that new line going, and sure enough, there we go. Okay, we need to remove the new line, otherwise this was being false because it was seeing that new line. It says, well, I see a whole bunch of numbers, but I also see a new line at the end, so it's going to register as false. Okay, so if you're doing a Parsons problem is what this is called, and you need to reorder them, you can look and see, okay, well, you can establish some things like, okay, this is using this variable and this is setting this variable, so I know that ordering has to be one before the other. And you can break it down that way. Okay, let me just put it in here that this is the answer so that if you're looking through the notes that you see that. All right. Let me go through these exercises. Okay, exercises 11. So I've seen this example submitted by a student before, and so I want to illustrate what's going on here. So let's import sys. We're going to open letters. Letters. So if we look, letters is, not surprisingly, the letters of the alphabet, but capital. Okay, so I'd already written those. Okay, we're going to open up, we're going to try and open up the file. We're going to read from that file. Then we're going to say read line, and then we're going to print the line, but we don't need to print the new line there. So this looks good. Oh, ooh, and we're fancy. We're even using finally. Okay, so this looks right. So let's execute it and see what's going on. So let me rephrase it. It looks kind of right. Oh, wow. So letters is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, but when we run this, it's not A, it's not C, it's not E. What's going on here? Let's step through this. So, okay, we say for each line in letters here, the file letters, and so line here is going to be A, but then notice the first thing we do here is we say, okay, give me another line. And so the second line is B, and so it says display B. It comes up to the for loop and says, give me another line. It says, okay, here's C, and we say, we don't do anything with C. We get D, and then we display D. And so what the fallacy is here is we don't call read line if we're going through a loop. We just do that. Let me comment this out. So it's going to display every other letter because we were ignoring the ones from here and only using the ones here. And again, this was a real example. Oh, there it goes. A, B, C, D, E. Okay, so if we're using the for loop to iterate through every file object, we do not use read, read line, or read lines unless we're trying to jump over that. Okay, so that was the key point there. Class notes, okay. answer reads every other letter, skipping A. Starting with skipping A, okay? Because it throws it away. So the solution, or we should say the fix, is to remove that line there. Great. Okay, now let's look at this one. Very similar, but just a little bit different. This time we have a while loop. Okay, letters again. We're going to open up that file. We're going to read a line. We're going to test if it's the end of the file. We're going to read a line again and then display it. Let's see, we have our check to make sure it opened correctly, and if not, we're out of here. And then we're going to close it. So let's look and see. Okay, so let's be a little more let's investigate this a little bit more. So letters, so this is going to have A, because the very first line. A is not the empty string, okay? Oh, and then this is going to read B, display B, check if B is not an empty string. Read C, display C, check if it's not an empty string. D, okay, so we skipped over A, but we didn't, but we'll get every other letter. So yep, we skip over A, but every other letter. So what's the solution here? How should we do this? Well, we do a priming read, and then we check to make sure that it's not the end of the file. Then we do something with the file, and then we read again, and then we repeat. We come back up and repeat that. Let's see if this will work. Oh, did you see that? A is now at the beginning of our list. And there we go. And so, and we need to priming read, test if it's at the end of the file, and then process the file. And so let's go to class notes here. Answer reads every line of the file but the first one. So the fix here is reorder following lines. All right. Let's call that good for today. I'll leave these two exercises for the interested student to read. Thank you for watching.